to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you go to sleep?
Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Let's see, where is my...
I was going to do it.
For the workshop. I don't think this will take a tremendous amount of time, but due to some of the scheduling snafus that we had with the agenda builder, I do want to start with something that's a little less meaty to talk about that is on the agenda, which is talking about having some committee or finance meetings in between council meetings. I have talked to some other cities, and they just kind of have some times set up, one day a month. It's usually during the day, like at noonish or something, 1 o'clock-ish. And they know that that is going to be a finance discussion where Joy will be available, I will be available. Anyone who wants to come and join into that discussion would have a chance to review any big finance issues that may be coming up, budget issues, any big projects, that relate to having things paid for, things like that. A couple have expressed interest in it. Also, in visiting with some of the other mayors in their cities, they said it really helps give one more option to their council to be informed about what's going on. It would be a workshop, so it would be a meeting that's available for the public to listen in on. But I would like to get your thoughts on how you would like to utilize something like that. Benton even has it to where all of their departments, they have a street meeting. They have, different ones that are regularly scheduled, and the council members can attend and be informed by that. I want to hear your thoughts on anything along those lines that might help you gain the information you feel like you need, being transparent to the public, on everything. So do y'all have any thoughts on it?
I like the idea.
I do
Personally.
too. We used to do, now Trish's the only one that's kind of history in here that might remember. We used to do that back in the day. Do you remember that?
So, I've been here for over 20 years, so we've done it a variety of different ways. Hot Springs has committees that meet, and what happens at the city council meetings is the committees meet, discuss the issues, all the debate happens in committee meetings, and then when it goes to council, it basically just comes to a final adoption, is what typically happens. Benton has, I think, 2 council meetings a month, unless they've changed it. And then they have committees.
But you don't remember why Bryant stopped it. We used to do this.
It's changed with every administration, exactly how it's done. I can tell you that a lot of meetings over the course of a month can cause a lot of fatigue. The department heads, and I can't speak for all of them, but just myself, we'll do whatever the council wants us to do, but it does get a little fatiguing when it's like a constant meeting. But there's just been a lot of different ways that we've done it. There used to be committees, I think there was I want to say there used to be like a public safety committee. I'm trying to remember how many different committees there were. Because now, isn't it just the water wastewater committee? Is that right?
The planning commission.
And so it was commissions. We had planning commission, which of course works independently because it's a commission, but then it got changed to a committee. And I think that happened.
So planning is still a commission.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Water is a committee.
I can't remember all of it, but yeah, I don't remember exactly why it's been changed, but it has changed multiple times over the years.
So if we had a finance committee meeting where questions could be asked and stuff is flushed out, would it not potentially make the council meeting a little bit shorter?
It should.
Or if there are things that come up in that meeting that could be answered in the council meeting.
Yeah.
I can tell you that occasionally when we've had various meetings, it seemed like we were talking about the same things and answering the same questions twice a month. Is one of the things that we saw happening was we would go to a meeting intending, okay, this is where the discussion will happen and the questions will be answered. Or questions will be brought up that maybe we didn't know the answer to right then, but then we had time
Yes.
by the time council met to get the answer to that, which I really liked. I liked
Yeah.
having that. And because, honestly, you may not think of a question until you're
That's
sitting
right.
there in that
Mhm.
seat, and then, Jason may say something, and then you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. That leads me to this question.
You're absolutely correct.
So we did, or at least I did, I liked that. However, it just seemed like the question would get answered in committee, and then we would go to council 2 or 3 weeks later, and then the same question would get asked again.
Did you typically have those at the beginning of the month? Is
I'm
that?
sorry,
Did you typically have those at the beginning of the month?
I think it was like middle of the month, like maybe the second or third week, and then we had council at the end of the month. Because council's always been at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I think during one of the administrations, maybe for a couple of years, we did have the 2 council meetings a month, but that just wasn't working because it never failed. You never had, the deadlines. You could never meet the deadlines for
Yeah.
the items that you needed. And we would always end up going to the next council meeting
Yeah.
anyway. So there's a lot of pros and cons with all of it. And it's, like I said, whatever.
Could always do it on a trial basis.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and I think what'll be important is a couple of things. One, who attends, are there enough council members that show up and attend on a regular basis to get something out of it? Then the second will be is that if there are questions that are answered, obviously there are minutes that are taken, and that council, mayor, staff are responsible to read those, and not come back to next council meeting and go back over the things because they maybe couldn't attend that.
Because you're saying it'll be recorded too, right, like this?
Oh, yes.
So
So
they're
that,
It'll
online,
have
they
to
could
be.
watch.
It'll be a
That's right.
workshop.
that way,
Mhm.
if a council person couldn't come, they could at least watch it
Right.
and then
Which is something
email Joy or
Yes,
whoever
I've had in the past.
with questions between that meeting and the city council meeting, and those questions may not even be asked if
Well-
they're satisfied.
The way I see it working well is to work very similar to DRC and Planning Commission and Council. The DRC meeting occurs, it is a formal meeting, it is on YouTube, you can watch it virtually or you can be on site. They go into a lot of the details, about what's coming up on the agenda, the questions are answered, there's back and forth on what's good or bad or, But then what comes to the Planning Commission and ultimately to the council is just that, DRC has reviewed this and, it's
And with the-
responsible.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would the finance committee make recommendations that they support it, or they
Yeah.
recommend passing it, or
I would think
or
that you could.
recommend making a change
Yes.
this, that, or the other? Okay.
But to that same point, the commission still gets to see everything. If they
Yes.
have any extra questions
Yes,
that weren't asked
they
in
do.
DRC, that's the time that they can do it,
Yeah,
you know.
and you have the time between then and when there's a Planning Commission and when there's a council meeting to have reviewed the virtual meeting.
Mhm.
But just wanting to offer more opportunities for everyone to fully know what's in the finances and to ask those aha questions, because I know for me, I'll go home and think about it later. And, we all kind of feed off of each other on our questioning, that you're thinking, forward things. So, but it would be something that would be similar to how DRC is, and it's during the day. It's not another evening meeting, trying to get everybody here, but it would have a virtual option, so that people can listen in.
Kind of a humorous aside, I enjoy trying to anticipate what your questions will be, and you guys always give me one that I'm not expecting.
Oh, they do it to me, and yes, always. That's why it's good to have those opportunities to be
Yes.
surprised
Yes.
early,
But
right?
it's good because then you're thinking of things that I'm not thinking of.
That's right.
Because my perspective is one-sided, even though I try to see it from all angles, you know,
Well,
that's true of all of us.
that's right.
Yeah.
We're all getting our zones where we're
That's right.
here, where you're focused on what you do every single day,
Yeah.
and so am I, and so is Wade, and so is Lisa, and every other department head. Everybody's focused on what they do, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so I personally like them.
Okay,
I like it too.
okay.
It just gives us, like you were talking about, more
One
transparency.
more opportunity.
It gives more transparency
Okay.
that,
Well, I'll work on getting that scheduled, and we'll try to, I will look towards scheduling it to start in January. I'm not gonna try to start anything in December.
No, I think that's a
Okay.
great idea.
And,
just not January 1st or 2nd.
not January 1st or 2nd, okay.
No.
Happy New Year. Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate it. That was one of the items on the list that I wanted to discuss tonight. I thought, well, we'll knock that out just in case there are some that were a little confused on the time. Do not be surprised, tomorrow night we have a lot on the agenda. I think you can tell. There will be a couple of things that we will switch around the order of them, so don't be surprised on that. We need to talk about the entertainment district ordinance before we talk about the temporary resolution. But once again, it's some issues with the agenda maker that's Jordan's working on. So just want you to know that. Okay. The two main topics tonight to talk about, and I want to make sure everyone is clear. The first is the millage. Want to make it very clear that I'm not recommending anything that is increasing the amount of taxation from what you have previously passed, okay? I know that, I think it was August, that you passed a 3.0 on real property and a 3.8 on personal property. The letter you have in front of you, I've already sent it to you previously even, is from the judge letting us know that it is not allowable by the Constitution to have two different millage rates. They have to be the same. Attached to that is a copy of the law of the Constitution where it states that they have to be the same. And it is over on the very back page, millage rate leveled against personal property and utility shall be equal on it. And then somewhere down in there it also says that if we don't do anything about it, it will just result, they will go to the lowest one. So in other words, if we did nothing, it would all go to 3.9. It would all go to 3.0. Because the lowest one that you approved was the 3.0. You approved a 3.0 on real property and 3.8 on personal. So that would actually result in another budget deficit that would have to be dealt with. So what I asked Joy to do was to bring me a millage rate that would be the same on both, but that would generate the same amount of revenues as the previous design and setup was, so that it doesn't cause for any more budget adjustments, but it also does not increase the tax on the people any more than what has already been discussed and voted on. I just wanted to give you all a chance to ask questions along those lines.
And we're sure that it's not going to go back to 1.9, it's going to go back to 3.0, right?
And it's going to 3.2.
3.2.
No, when you say
And
go back,
if we do nothing,
if you do nothing, it will go to 3.0.
okay, it's not the 1.9 that it was,
No.
okay.
It's not according to what they've told me, so.
What are those rates, Rhonda? Are they 3.2? But the rates that Joy proposed, was it 3.2?
Yeah. And that's what is attached to your agenda right now.
Oh.
Well, not the one you have here, but the one for tomorrow.
Oh, for tomorrow,
to vote
yes.
on. It just simply is a 3.2 for real property and then a 3.2 for personal property.
So what does that do for us? How much money does it give us? That's okay.
You would
It's
ask me
close.
that exact question. I would have to, I'm sorry, I would have to go back and pull those numbers because whatever she had plugged into the budget that you're going to see tomorrow night it should be giving you, it gives you that same amount of revenue.
Okay.
There's not a change in it, so I didn't even bring I did not bring those total dollar amounts since we'd already voted on those.
What's the difference between 3.2 and 3.0? Like if we,
If you let it go down to 3.2, you will be looking at somewhere around another 150,000 to have to cut.
If we do them both at 3,
If you do them both at 3. If you let the 3.8 one drop down to 3.0, you will be looking at another 150, 175,000 to have to cut.
shortfall.
And the, you have already approved X amount of tax burden. The 3.2 does not increase or decrease the tax burden. It just shifts it between those two pools of money. So there's nothing in this that is asking anyone to increase the amount of taxes that you're paying. But if you do let it go back to the 3.0, then there will have to be additional cuts that have to be made. And I will tell you, it's getting tighter and tighter on finding anything to cut.
How much have you all already cut out?
172, well, they cut out somewhere around, let me send you the numbers tomorrow because
It's okay.
I didn't bring the summary up there with
Numbers,
me. I apologize.
That's fine.
I know that we've got, I want to say somewhere around 400,000 or 500,000.
This was
I
like a
just
round
might be-
number, yeah.
So,
Out of the 2024 budget, that much.
That's a lot.
it's a lot. Because the increases to the salaries that were passed were right at 800,000. So when you take the possibility for growth, you take the cuts that you've got to take out, you take all the other price increases and things out, it's about right.
Rhonda, what's the tax revenue year over year? Is it up or down?
Year over year, it has continued to grow.
Okay.
It has continued to grow. And she's very comfortable this year. Personal property tax has not been our staple because we've always had such a low millage rate. We get money from it, obviously, but it's always been a very small rate. And even increasing this, it is nowhere close to what sales tax is. And so our sales tax has continued to show growth. She feels very comfortable in what she's looked at, that she budgeted in right at a 3% increase. And she's pretty comfortable with that. She was really nervous early on, but what she's seeing this last month or so has made her feel more comfortable with, that those numbers will stay solid on it. That's always that's the chance you're taking with sales tax. Is it can go up and it can come down again. And so if the economy really starts tanking, then your sales tax dollars will slow down. But all of that she has built into.
When was the reevaluation of real estate property?
We just
Will it be
did
first of the year or
Yeah.
we'll see that? That's gotta be a big
And we-
increase.
and we gotta be careful of that sales tax number because a lot of that is inflation.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
You know,
It is.
I know.
Yeah.
And something
That's why
and something used to cost
yeah.
$20, now it costs $40. Well,
Yes.
you're automatically gonna get more sales
That's
tax.
right. And as
So-
inflation decreases,
So I mean, that's, you gotta think of it.
If you look at our increase is about the percent of inflation.
That's
Yes,
right.
it is.
So we're not,
We're not really growing, we're
that's
just.
right.
so, that's why she was,
Inflation's growing us.
Yeah. she's been
Killing us.
real conservative on what she's tried to put in the budget, which is also why she's pushed for several years with our millage rate, which has been at the, 1.9, which is just about the lowest in the state, is what it had been, to raise it, to just provide a little bit more foundation than totally depending on sales tax. I know, honestly, part of me had hoped that we might even be able to come back and say, let's reduce it some. If the AMP and things had passed, that we could have said, hey, we got a little wiggle room, let's look at how we can spread this out differently. But, you know, we don't have that right now. We don't have it.
I think once you raise it, you don't ever lower it. It's just, you forget about it and it just,
Yeah.
What is our neighboring cities' millages?
we
Benton's-
had all that in
Yeah,
previous meetings.
Benton's like 3.8.
Yeah. I think they're all, I mean, we literally were one of the lowest in the
We
state.
are.
Yeah.
We were definitely one of the lowest in any of the surrounding area. So the 3.2 still does not bring us up to that higher one. So really, tomorrow night, you will have a couple of choices. You know, you can table it and not do anything. We have to do something by December 4th. If we don't do anything, it goes to 3.0.
Okay.
And we will be coming back frantically to try and find the ways to balance the budget. You can do the 3.2, which is what I would recommend, which keeps the revenues the same. You know, you're not hitting the public for anything extra. We're not coming back and raising taxes.
The homestead is increased for
Mhm.
people
Yes,
also, so that does help
That does
offset
help.
this a little.
Yes, it does.
Well, yeah.
And if you're on 69.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other choice, which I would not recommend, which is you could come back and raise them both to 3.8, but that is not in the recommendation that I'm making to you. And I hate that you're having to go back through this conversation again. You know, but,
I don't even pay anything.
I don't even know if that number's right.
Mhm.
So I did find the chart that we had. That's the beauty of having an electronic file cabinet.
I know.
Yeah.
And Alexander's, according to this, they're at 1.5.
It's probably,
Bryant's 1.9, Benton's 3.8, Shannon Hills is 4, Oxide is 5.
And then like Little Rock, just,
Is 1.15.
they have so much more people though.
yeah,
Well, they
Yeah,
have
they have a bigger
AP.
base.
yeah,
It's one of the top 5 in the state too,
yeah.
the Rock.
Yeah.
What's Hot Springs on that list? Did it have it?
It doesn't have,
It just says 0.
yeah.
I think
I don't know.
They may be.
The largest tourism,
They're-
I was
they were
gonna
number-
say, because it probably is, because their sales tax rates are,
they're number 1 A&P in the state.
yeah,
From what I read that
Yes.
chart and
yeah.
Yeah.
we were just talking about it today, I forget who I was talking to it with, and they said, when you go to a restaurant in Hot Springs, you have 7 different taxes at the bottom, because they have so many different taxes for, you know, tourism,
Never noticed.
you know.
You going there?
Yeah, I did.
That's a good reason to retire in Hot Springs.
Yeah.
Windows downtown.
Yeah,
Now their sales tax is higher than.
I was gonna say the sales
They're still a
tax,
little
the
bit.
sales tax is out the roof, but, you
It
know.
is.
Close there.
Uh-huh. So, any other questions on that?
so we're geofence, correct, with regards to like purchasing, like if we purchase some on Amazon right here, it's geofence where that tax goes to
Yes,
Brian, is
yes,
that correct?
and- Yes. The way the sales tax works is if it's delivered in this zip code,
Okay,
we get it.
It's everything you purchase.
Yes.
That's
so
also,
it's the
It's the
address that's delivered
Yes.
to, not where,
Not to your credit card zip code?
and it's the same way when you're building something, wherever
Yes.
that material's dropped, that's where
That's
the
where
sales
you
tax
get-
goes.
I
So,
heard that too with the, with stores, the boundaries in the middle of the stores, wherever the cash register is
Yeah.
located.
Like Target?
Yeah.
Or like, oh,
If there are some, because it is where the product is
So Target.
delivered
That's
to.
right.
Which, you know, that's why, you know, the interest in development, houses being built within your city limits, that sales tax dollars
well,
comes to Bryant because that wood and that paint and that, all that stuff is delivered.
so if we annex some of these people, like where like where their sewer rate went up, if we annex them, yes, we do have to provide services to them that cost us money, but we pick up their real estate tax, we pick up their sales tax.
And that's also the reason why, when they talk about the paying the extra sewer because they're outside of the city, is because we are having to use our infrastructure and to pay to move it from outside the city to inside the city into our sewer system. But we don't get the real estate taxes and all that, and it's a further distance than we have to go. So there's numbers, I can send y'all a report on why that is done that way for that reason. And it's very common. It's the way it's done in almost all cities. That
There's a lot of people that have Salem water but have Bryant sewage.
Right,
I'm one of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think eventually that will all come to Bryant.
But you're inside the city limits, so you don't pay the extra fee.
No,
It's the ones that
but you
actually
sure can
physically
tell that
live
$15 in
outside.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think
So,
eventually those Salem water users
Yeah.
will become Bryant water users.
But Jordan, yes, all the sales tax are based on where it's delivered.
Okay.
Now, the personal property tax and the real property tax is based on, obviously, you're living here in the city
Right.
and you assessed
Yeah.
your items and that millage is put against it. Any other questions along those lines? I just wanted y'all to hear it from my mouth and understand what we were doing and what you're going to be asked to vote on tomorrow night, one way or the other, so that we'll be able to put something on the books. Is there anything else I can get y'all on that information? That'll help
If you don't mind, have a breakdown on which would be for each sum. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So we know what we're going to be producing, or hopefully.
I will. I will get that from Joy. Okay. I can do that. I have it for you on that. Next topic is interesting topic. Was able to find out that an entertainment district is not tied to having an A&P tax any longer after this last legislative session. Most of the cities around us have some level of an entertainment district that they utilize. An entertainment district really is a defined area that has borders, you title it, this is what it is, and you do allow people to carry open containers of alcohol within those boundaries, okay? Does not take away, intoxication levels, does not allow you to be openly drunk on the streets. It just allows you to carry an open container from this building to this building, or within these set boundaries. I've done more and more research on it since this started, since this topic came up, and there was a lot of interest in it because of some of our businesses here in Bryant being interested in us being able to form an entertainment district. So the ordinance you have, that you're looking at for tomorrow night, is simply an ordinance that enables us to have an entertainment district. Now, there's two different types. There's a permanent one and there's a temporary one. After you pass this ordinance, if we want to set aside a permanent entertainment district, it has to come back to you as an ordinance to approve. If you want to set aside a temporary one, any temporary ones have to meet the qualifications and come back to you as a resolution. Okay? Of which there is also a resolution to go with that ordinance tomorrow night. Now, what I have found out, did a lot of looking at what Benton has done, because they do have entertainment districts. They have one, basically, entertainment district, and it is actually with Valhalla, those two buildings there, because the way, my understanding is the way it works with alcohol and things like they couldn't go up the stairs from the one building that was one restaurant up to Valhalla. They couldn't carry their container up there. So that entertainment district allows those two buildings to be in this district, and they can go back and forth as they're eating, enjoying the entertainment, whatever it may be. That's the only permanent entertainment district that they have in Benton. Is that one? Of which we do have a restaurant here that is dealing with some of those same issues, with needing some of those boundaries. And it's amazing, ABC says fine, as long as, you know, the city has approved this, you know, met all the requirements, it's fine, it's fine.
So if we do a temporary, will it help that business?
It can, for a temporary event. At some point in time, I would like to come back.
But it wouldn't be their daily business that would help
No.
with.
No, not until you
It's only
pass a
for a
permanent.
week or whatever you said.
Not until you pass a permanent one.
So we could pass a permanent one tomorrow night, right?
Yes, we could drop an ordinance if you wanted to. I think your first step is going to be to pass the entertainment district. And I'm not sure how controversial it's going to be. I really am not. I think now communities have gotten used to what they are. It was fairly controversial when Benton passed theirs. That's why I wanted you all to be aware of it and to be thoughtful about it, that there were some that were, I think, concerned that it could turn into a free-for-all party.
Street party.
And that's not what an entertainment district is about, you know. So, getting that passed, and then, yes, you can make it a permanent one, Jason and Lisa. You can make it a permanent one.
But you could do a combination too, where the business could be the permanent, that particular area could be the permanent one, and then
Yes,
still do a temporary.
Absolutely, absolutely, you can do that.
So you can have multiples is what.
Yes, and the way the ordinance reads is you can have multiple permanent districts. And you can have temporary districts that include permanent districts for that temporary event. The temporary ones really meet typically for an event. The one that I put together for this is for the December 9th event. And when you read the ordinance, it has to have a beginning and a start time. A temporary one can't last more than 10 days for an event. You know, once again, you have to have your boundaries clearly set. You have to be able to put up signage. You have to be able to give people wristbands or cups to use that say, okay, you've been carded, you know, you're a part of this, you're a participant in this, and you're approved. So there's a lot of restrictions that have to go on. Even with your permanent one, you would set it up to where it met certain criteria. But the one that would benefit the most honestly is Crave right now, because they have two different venues within one that it's very difficult to cross back and forth between. But if that area right there was set up as an entertainment district, then it allows them to flow back and forth between the axe throwing area and their restaurant area.
So are we looking at where Crave is, back over to the other side of Walmart? Is that more or less behind Walmart?
I would not suggest in any shape, fashion, or form that we make a permanent entertainment district that size. That is not at all what it would be.
Now, if it was like downtown Nashville, we'd be doing something totally like.
Might be different, yeah.
It might be different, but that's not everything that's Bart's putting in over there. You know, he's putting in retail, he's putting in office space, he's putting in all that kind of stuff.
Right.
If you had 50 bars in one location that all had bands,
Yes.
so
That would be a
that's a different.
situation.
Well,
Like Dixon Street.
Yes, yes, that will be a different situation. And even, I don't know if you've been able to see it and look at that resolution for the temporary. The temporary one only takes in Crave right down the street, not into the businesses now.
Progressive Way.
Yeah, Progressive Way down to Copper Mule in that area. That's all it takes in. Because you're really not wanting in that setting, people taking a beer bottle into, you know, any other businesses because they're not restaurants that would normally sell alcohol or anything. So you're not, you have to really define it and think about where will people be walking and moving and going with this. Because, you know, and you certainly don't want them to go out further into the other warehouse areas with it. So that's why I say I would in no way suggest us just saying Progress Way and all that area up to Walmart will be one big entertainment district. No.
So, setting those parameters may drive where the businesses want to funnel into.
It could.
Or
And there's a-
types of businesses,
Yeah,
if
it
you will.
could.
So,
It could.
and then it poses the question as far as like restaurants that may be out of the parameters that are set. Like, we may set parameters, but there may be restaurants currently there that are located outside of those. Would they have issues with this?
That's why I would, that's why my suggestion has been to only look at, similar to what Benton did, for a very specific targeted focus that no one else is going to have problems with. Because you're not saying, oh, I can go to Crave and I can walk all up and down Progress Way. You know, no, you're saying for that, just like Valhalla. And then past that, it be on a temporary basis when there's an event.
Right.
Let's say next year the chamber has their Santa Claus block party all up and down Main Street. Well, you can ask for a temporary entertainment district for that event during that time period, and it would take in any of the restaurants.
So in the past, anytime we did something like that, and you have to put the signs up just like she's talking about, but you also, basically what we're doing at this point in time with the entertainment district, you're eliminating the ABC having to come down and check. Because prior to that, they would have to come down, look, see exactly where it's going to go, so on and so forth. And you had to put your signs up and everything like that. So on Main Street, we had the signs up on the north and the south end of Main Street. But we never had any problems, people like going in behind Copper Mule, because, I mean, it was built then, but we didn't, no one's going to go where there's not anything for them to do. Does that make sense? So you kind of corral them that way. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, Chicken King's across the street, and you got so we got to think about that kind of stuff, because they may want to get an alcohol permit or license at that point in time. You know, I don't know.
Now, will the businesses have any input each time on the temporary?
Yeah and no. I mean, anybody can ask for a temporary license or a temporary entertainment district. So in other words, if Chicken King and Speakeasy were to get together and say, hey, we want to have a summertime fling out on our parking lot, they can come to the city and they can apply for a temporary entertainment district for
As long as
Friday
they
and
have
Saturday
their
night.
alcohol license.
Yes. They have their alcohol license. They meet the requirements. It's a defined area. It's a defined date. And basically then what that would allow is for people to go in and out of that area, those two businesses, and in that parking lot with an open container. So yes, they can ask for a temporary entertainment district and partner with each other and create new events for the city, new opportunities. They could say, we want to have a cornhole, tournament, and we're going to set it up out back here, but we want people to be able to carry their beer can over the back to go from here to there. And once again, it's just a matter of following all the steps that have to be done. You have to have a permit. You have to be able to give them a wristband or something that lets you know. You have to be able to clearly define that area.
So, would an address work, like Crave's address, if we decided that we want to do a permanent for just Crave, that address would be sufficient, and then he can run his business operationally like he wants to, right?
Yes. And my suggestion on it, this is just my suggestion because sometimes I go into things a little bit slower. let's do this. Let's try and have this December event. See how it goes. Then next meeting, I'm already talking with him and come back and make sure exactly, if it goes, what will suit the exact definition of what he needs. But we can do that tomorrow if you want to.
Well, my only thing is with Christmas coming up,
Yeah, that's true.
his sales could potentially
Yes,
go higher,
Mhm.
and we'd get more sales tax revenue.
yes, I know.
If
I
we were
know.
able to let him run operationally the way it's designed to.
Yeah,
And what we're talking about is an axe throwing room and all that kind of stuff, you know, no one can carry beer in there or any kind of alcohol. And so they have to monitor that. Now, all of a sudden I come out and arm this.
yeah. So, anyway, and basically what this does is it does put the onus on the city to have its plan, you know, to monitor it, all that. It's ABC coming down and checking on it. You're saying as a city, we're taking these applications seriously, we're looking at them. I have visited with the chief about it, and he and I are on the same page that we're not looking to have any massive permanent entertainment district. We're really looking for that very specific niche, and then very specifically certain events that it could really help bolster our businesses and the economy in the city, and, you know, make things flow easier for our citizens. He didn't have any problems with it. I can see where, you know, you get to be Nashville, you've got to have a whole different schematic for what you're doing, or even the River Market District in downtown Little Rock. That is not what we're
Yeah, I mean,
going
you gotta have
after.
security, you gotta do all that kind
You
of
know,
stuff.
that's not what this is going to be geared towards.
So on your ordinances or whatever you present tomorrow night on your temporary for December, will you add, for those of us who are visually challenged, add a map?
Look at that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, put a map so that it's part of the, so we can see visually, it's gonna be this section. I think that would be easier.
Well, on the
I mean,
temporary,
for
we
me.
can make it you can include Main Street or
Well, I
whatever.
wanna know what the plan is, and then it'll accompany the ordinance. And
because
then
you will approve a temporary every time there is
an event, yeah.
Mhm.
that wants a temporary.
So say for one event, because it'll be the first event we've ever done on Progress Way,
Mm-hmm,
right? We know on Main Street it works. We know it does.
yeah.
Know
If
what?
you throw it on Main Street, you know it works on Main Street because we've done it.
Mhm.
But let's say it, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
something monkeys up
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do it on Progress Way, you know, you don't want to tie your hands either.
Yeah.
Well, and to expound on that, what about if you got somebody in there that doesn't want, it, it's dead set against it?
Well,
Do
that's
they have
why,
the opportunity to come up here and speak?
that's why we're having this discussion tonight, and that's what y'all have to decide is do you want to put this on 2 or 3 readings? I mean, you know, that's why I wanted y'all to talk about this before tomorrow night, to recognize there may be some. But just remember, we're not making a permanent one. We're asking for a one-time temporary event. A temporary event can only last for so many days, a defined period of time, you know, like from 5 to 9, you know, so.
The only permanent we're talking about is a business.
Yes,
Would be
it would be
correct.
correct,
Right.
and it would not
Business.
include Main Street, it would not include Progress Way.
They
would
can't
not
even carry it
include anything
outside.
else. Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
stay inside those 4
Stay inside the
walls.
business, so it's
So, so just keep those things clear
Yeah.
in your mind, so that, you know, if you look at a temporary, if it doesn't work on Progress Way, you don't approve it again. If it comes back to you, you know. If it works on Main Street and some businesses on Main Street want to have one, you can approve it for that. If you want to approve it for the park for some reason, you can do that. You know, there's different opportunities.
I like the
different
temporary with the defined business
Yeah.
as a permanent. I like that.
So that's kind of where I have settled on it, knowing the situations that are there and what will help our businesses to do better and to work through some issues that they have. So that's why I've tried to work this up for now. I can look at some language if you want to look at some language with Crave for tomorrow. I can work on that. It will be very simple language, because it will be very simple definition. But,
I think, for me anyway, operationally, letting him, I mean, he's already serving, he already has the permits, he already has all that stuff. He's just got that one little hiccup where he can't operate his business correctly, or the way it's designed to, I shouldn't say correctly. And anything that we can do on our
I
side
agree.
to help him run operationally,
It's a win for him.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a win for the city, it's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
And then we still have control over
All the temporary ones.
all the temporary, well,
Control.
we really have control over the
We have
permanent one
control
too,
over
don't we?
everyone, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's
Somebody
just
loses
what,
an arm, we might just send that.
that's right. Don't lose an arm, Wade.
But, other thoughts on it? I think this is a great opportunity for us. I'm not a big, heavy drinker, and I'm not
Yeah.
a proponent of, I'm not a proponent of having a
Wild out there, you might
drinking, walking around wild on the street.
I can tell you, out of all the events we've done with alcohol, I'm talking air show, block parties, fall fest, we have never had a
That's
single
right.
issue. And that's pretty impressive, honestly. People aren't going to events to get drunk.
No,
That's not what
no,
they're doing.
That's not.
They might have especially at Christmas time, a hot chocolate with some kind of something, I don't know.
That's
but-
Glühwein.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not there to get, it's not a party atmosphere.
Well, I would think too, opening a permanent for this specific, for Crave or whomever, that's what we're looking at. I think what that tells other businesses is like, hey, the
Well,
city is willing to work with you.
Right.
So to me, it's, I don't want to say recruiting, but that's a
No.
good piece of,
Being
hey,
welcoming
you
to
welcoming to
businesses.
businesses, especially in that progressive
Yeah.
way, which to me is just, it's a great
Yeah.
little,
It's a great
He's made a
opportunity.
huge
Oh, he's-
investment.
Yeah.
so.
And I was really interested to find out how well it has worked for Benton in that situation. And, they have temporary ones, but it just solved some of that problem, and they've never had a problem with anything. Once again, they've had events, it's not, it's not a drunken brawl of any kind, it's not over drinking, it's not any issues of safety, that has just worked very well. And just allowing someone to step out into an event that is going on, that they're participating in, with the drink that they have purchased already in the,
And honestly, we could probably keep up with it, because we probably have an average of how many DUIs we do a year.
oh yeah,
And then you can look at it,
and see,
and we go, oh, well, this isn't working.
yeah. Well, and, it's just, it's regulated in the sense that whoever is selling the alcohol has to be able to card them and give them an armband. They're not allowed to go outside of the area carrying their alcoholic beverages. They're still not allowed to drink and drive.
It doesn't trump any
nothing
law
is-
or, it's.
No, nothing has changed. It's just a matter that if you happen to have a beer in your hand at Copper Mule and you want to walk down to where someone is singing and it's all right there in that district, you can do that.
And honestly, it makes it easier on the businesses, because prior to that, they would have to get a special permit to be able to go outside of their four walls
Yeah.
and set up another, booth, like Copper Mule, for
Yeah.
example. They're the ones that always did it
Yeah.
for us over there. They'd have to get a special permit, and then they have to give back, I think it's 25% of the proceeds back to a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this helps them.
Anyway, so that's your other big agenda item that I just want to have time to have. I appreciate the discussion and the questions for everybody.
I would recommend Rhonda having, and I think you explained it well, because I actually learned about entertainment as listening, like just in case there are naysayers,
Yes.
I would have a defined
Yeah.
definition of what that is, because they may come in here with a different perception
know.
of like, hey,
Yes.
entertainment district.
Yeah.
But the way you explained it, to,
And the visual.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I'll have lots of good stuff.
Thank you.
The rest of the agenda, I think we've gotten you lots of information on stuff. I'll have a couple of other things. I know we added another agenda item this morning that once again got stuck in the agenda item that I'll have a written explanation on the flashing lights for road safety for crossings. I don't think you'll have any problem with it. It's not a new initiative, but it got added this morning because there was a certain letter in it and it blocked it from getting posted. So anyway, finding out all kinds of new things on the agenda maker. But I guess that's really all I had. I appreciate you taking up the time to talk about it. So we'll be prepared for the agenda. And we will be meeting at 5:30 for our budget workshop for administration.
I'm glad you said that.
I am too, because I totally,
Really? I'm sorry.
no, it's not on the, well, maybe it is.
Well,
on
it's
the-
out there now, because once again, something happened, and we had talked about it, I thought, for several weeks. But
Why are
that
y'all
night,
having
that's
so much
probably-
trouble with it?
It's a pain. I mean, you put a dash in a, like in a PDF, and it just messes the entire agenda.
Oh, man.
It makes no sense.
But I mean, that wasn't happening a few months ago.
We've had some issues with it. We just usually are able to get them before you guys have to see them.
Okay.
Yeah, and the big thing that happened this time was the holiday. In some ways, would have been better to bump up the whole meeting to the Tuesday before Thanksgiving than the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, because literally, you know,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
thank you, I appreciate you.
thank you. Didn't take long to get it